Hey guys, so really good answers again this week. I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, in that every week I'm telling you you have really good answers, but that's a fact. That's what's happening. That's exactly what we want. Um, so the last time when you had a demo lesson on processes, the answers weren't of the same quality as they are this time. There's just a massive improvement. I'm not sure if it's the type of process that these ones are kind of easier to pick apart, but whatever the reason being, these answers were much better. So that was the question that you guys looked at. There was one thing that some of you were counting the stages. So we had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So some of you were saying that it was a 10-stage process, and I even commented that one of you that was incorrect. But I can kind of see your point here, where you're saying this isn't a process. This is just the result of what's happening in the factory. So realistically, I think you could justify calling it a 10-stage process. The stages being what's happening to produce the goods, whereas this is just the end product, is the goods. So I think if you said a 10 or if you said an 11, I think both of those would actually be acceptable. So apologies to the one student who I told was incorrect. It was just later on when I was thinking about this that it was, yeah, 10 does make sense too. Strengths, structure, everything's spot on. I mean, it's obvious that you're all very familiar with the course and what's expected from you. The content was really good. Everything that I wanted and expected was there. Discourse markers, variety of grammatical structures, everything from the process, everything that needed to be there. I mean, they're just really good answers. If you could produce an answer of this quality in the test, you would get a very high score, presuming that your task 2 is of the same quality. But no, really good. Overviews, for the most part, you just followed Chris's advice from the module, and that worked out perfectly. Logically organised details, paragraphs. So obviously you started at the start, you ended at the end, but also kind of like the way you divided up the details paragraphs so that they're roughly the same length. So again, that was all done perfectly, and good use of passive structures. There were a few problems with this one for some students, but for the most part, passive structures, sorry, tongue-tied, passive structures were very well used and also accurately used. So all really good. Weaknesses, vocabulary and grammar. I mean, just because I have to tell you something, but they're really strong answers. I would say with vocabulary, a lot of the higher level language came from the question. So that's fine, and it's used accurately, and you don't need to think of synonyms for the words in the question unless you know them for sure. Don't go inventing them, don't go describing a word, trying to create a synonym. So most of you use the language from the question, which is fine, but obviously not as good as possible. And some small grammar errors. I mean, this differed from person to person. Like I said earlier, some people had issues with the passive structures, there were some article mistakes, some object pronoun mistakes, different bits and pieces, and really, that's not the purpose of the demo lesson. You will see this with your feedback from the writing correction service, but you need to identify your own grammar mistakes. If I would say anything that you could have improved on was vocabulary and grammar. So just stay tipping away on vocabulary, it takes time, and with grammar, like Chris has told you 100 times, you just find out what your mistakes are and work on those. That's all you need to do. I pulled out these few mistakes basically because they looked like things that several people made, but also they look like mistakes that would be repeated in subsequent questions, subsequent process questions. So it's just that if you kind of make a note of these mistakes now, you're not going to make them again. So these in particular were worth looking at. So if you just pause the video, get a pen and paper, and correct the mistakes that you see on the screen, and when you're finished, press play. I'll show you the corrections. Okay. So the first one here was just the article. You needed the hyphen, so an 11 stage. So that's like a one part together. The same with man-made has the hyphen. So an 11 stage, comma, man-made, comma, linear process. So that was just mostly to do with punctuation and the article here because 11 starts with a vowel sound. So it's not going to be 11, it's an 11, an 11. So if you're not sure, you should just try saying it. If there's like a big pause in between, that's why we use the article an, so that it flows more easily, like an 11, not 11. It's kind of difficult to say. It begins with the drying of animal skin, so that was fine. This student included with tannin water, lime, and lime as raw materials. Oh, that was perfectly fine, yeah. I think the fact that they put this, so this confused me and I removed it. I think putting the raw materials in the middle of what happened at the start and the end is a bit more confusing. So it would have been, it begins with the drying of animal skins and ends with leather products using tannin, water, and lime as raw materials. So I think that would have been a little bit extra. And obviously the raw material of the skin would be, yeah, okay. That's included there, so that's fine. The next one, the image illustrates the process of manufacturing leather products. Okay, so that is a noun phrase, manufacturing leather products. So just the structure has to change there, the process of, and then whatever the process is. Number 3, the leather is polished afterwards with a roller, which makes it look shiny. So the only issue here was the word metal. And it could be correct. I mean, maybe the student actually knows about the process from outside the world of IELTS, let's say. Who knows, maybe this person is a tanner and they do this every day. But this would actually work to your disadvantage in this situation, whereas the diagram didn't say it was a metal roller. So you shouldn't be using any information from outside the image. So you just want to take the information you've been given and work that into an essay. So nothing extra. Here, that word metal, I would just take that out. The next one then, it starts with animal skin being dried as raw material and results in leather goods. So this is the same mistake that we had up here. Basically, the end result isn't the making of leather goods. That's still part of the process. It's not the end result. So that's like the second, or it would be like the last stage in the process if you wanted. But the end result is the actual product itself, not. So being produced is still part of the process. So the end result in leather goods, and the same one we had here with leather goods. And the last one then. At first, animal skins are dried by hanging them outside. This is just a pronoun. So it for skins, it needs to be plural them with the plural noun in the subject of the sentence. So at first, animal skins are dried by hanging them outside. So that's it. Short feedback today, because basically your answers are too good for me to give you a longer feedback. So I think overall you should just be really pleased with the quality of your answers. Great job again, and thank you all for watching. Enjoy the rest of your week now. Bye bye, guys.